Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast where the host is Stone. People have been asking me about my thoughts on the new James Gunn Superman movie. Alright, here it is. So, pardon the voice, coming off a case of COVID. But don't worry, doctors, I told them I'm on a very strict drug regimen. They said, but I haven't even written you a prescription yet. I know. Perfect way to open a Superman episode. Boy Scout in blue. He still holds this may surprise people, but he does hold a special place in the dark recesses of my crusted heart. He still is the foundation and prime block of all superheroes in the modern world. Because really, he is our Hercules, our Apollo, our Zeus, our Jesus, our Cyrus, and all the other stories that we've crafted in ancient times for their enjoyment and their amusement. In the modern times, superheroes have replaced the typical epic poem action hero slash moralistic preacher. Figures that humanity has devised over the eons to convey their feelings about what other people should do to them in art. Superman, at least, seems to be the kind of figure that sort of inspires rather than lectures too much. There are always good characters that play off of his overbearing possibilities of lording over humanity. He always had Jimmy Olsen, and he always had people trying to take him down, things trying to take him down, like Lex Luthor and others. He always had Lois Lane getting herself into fucking trouble, writing articles, and he's been the sort of character that just really just is superhero as a kid. Like when you think of super, you think of Superman. And when you think of a superhero, you think of a cape flying in the wind. And there is still some nostalgia for that sort of hopefulness and just happiness, but also something stranger. It's sort of a feeling of wanting to belong, but not in the normally cringe way that's usually portrayed these days. It's more of a primal need for humanity to get along and do well. And that sort of feeling just extending all over you, where you just want to be kind to people for once, and you just wish that people would be kind to you and to others, and that everything would just quiet down for a while and get nicer and relaxed. Come back to a base zero of everyone's nostalgia for a time that never was, but they believed was or wished was. Everyone tells me the 50s were a paradise. You know, people say that the 60s were perfect, and or at least, you know, their utopia where they would want to live. The 90s are amazing, like, but I seriously doubt if we actually traveled to any of those times that we would all be satisfied. But Superman's the kind of character that represents that nostalgia for um, the, the great city where most people are just nice to each other. And it's probably a huge reason why he had to be portrayed in a fictional city metropolis rather than, you know, a typical setting like New York, slightly fictionalized the way they ended up doing Spider-Man and some other heroes. So if you set that character in a real city, it's a lot rougher. And people don't like it that much. Nobody really likes Zack Snyder's version. It's a little too realistic. People are a little too much. But the feeling of that nostalgia is no less dampened by the fact that he's not a part of our world, technically. Metropolis is close enough, just some fantastical elements here and there. And that really seems to be the crux of a lot of this stupid argument that popped up around this film. Most of the people that seem to be really disparaging are the Snyder people who expect their savior Zack Snyder to be reanointed head of DC when it inevitably fails because their boycott is just so effective. It seems like Superman's doing spectacularly domestically here and made 321 plus million, and it still has not seen its streaming life yet. So it's doing fine here. It's overseas that it's really struggling. Last I looked, it hasn't even cracked 280 million worldwide in foreign markets. Got squashed in China. Really, not a lot of good things looking up for it overseas. So it most likely broke even around 530 million, and it's just making profit now. As far as the budget's concerned, it seems like the numbers were accurate at 225 million for the budget. So it really just kind of needed to make 2.5 times that, and then a little bit more for marketing. That's seems to be a financial gain, not necessarily a giant hit or anything. Meanwhile, Marvel's having trouble with Fantastic Four. So that's kind of the wrap up of the cultural reaction to this film. People tended to like it. It wasn't spectacularly deep. It was very, very much aimed at younger audiences, like 5-year-olds, but that's okay. It's where Superman's been before, and it's his prime audience are the kids, and there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of the reason for, like I said, all the adults are even watching is for nostalgia, not necessarily because they expect something bold, new, and exciting to come out of this character after almost 100 years of his existence in so many different forms. So, as for the actual plot, yeah, I mean, I gave it a 6 out of 10 on Letterboxd, and I'm happy for it to stay there. It really wasn't dreadful, but it gets extremely difficult to watch something that's constantly explaining every single thing on the screen to you in the dialogue and every single feeling that anyone has on screen instead of us being able to actually see it unfold and guess what he's feeling. Maybe if a tear rolls down the man's cheek instead of going, I am sad, and then his robot saying, he is sad. Let us explain to you, the audience watching, why he's sad, and then they give a fucking PowerPoint slideshow of why he's sad. It gets rough. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of conveniences that had to take place, and it's always frustrating when the villain's a complete moron. Lex Luthor was a complete and total idiot. His plans made absolutely less sense than if you had rammed them directly into his head, into the script, and injected him with several different toxins and then asked him what he would do to Superman. Because it seems that he decided to obsessively clone someone that he hated so that he would have a look-alike copy of him that does anything he says. I bet that never got weird in the bedroom. And he used that copy disguised as a different, cooler character called Ultraman that's actually in the comics from a different dimension, a different world's version of Superman. So they took the name of a cooler character and they crammed it onto Lex's creepy body, purchased, I don't know, like a full body mannequin, living mannequin zombie of Superman. I don't know. It's very interesting, but he not only wants to become president of a fictional desert in the middle of nowhere, but he also wants Superman to be the reason that he ends up I was in the middle of my sentence. Anyway, suffice to say, Lex Luthor's plan was completely idiotic, and it was foiled by his girlfriend taking selfies of his documents and sending them to Jimmy Olsen. So it's just, he was a complete moron, and he's supposed to be the world's smartest man. So discrepancies like that can be frustrating to an audience above the age of 10. And it was a thorn in my side watching that. Also, I really, as cool as the suit was, and as much as I was connecting with David as Superman, he didn't fully sell me on it. He was like a good 7 out of 10 for me in terms of Superman. There were definitely moments where it seemed like him yelling rather than Superman being angry, and there were moments when it seemed like uh, David was on set, and I'm sure with time, or was the more he gets into the role, he'll kind of win me over. But he was good. Just there were a good number of times I was taken out of it, and could have just been to the shitty script, but where it didn't feel like it was Superman on screen. It felt like it was someone acting as Superman on screen. Like, you're at a kid's birthday party and guy comes in, he's got the S hair shape, but he just, it kind of just sounds like your uncle trying to put on a good Hollywoodland Ben Affleck impression. So, and he's slightly drunk. And Lois Lane was a little low key for me, which is all right. I'm not sure how much worse you could do than Amy Adams. So she was all right. She was fine. Jimmy Olsen was a hell of a lot funnier in this one than he usually is. He was a running gag the entire time, and his relationships were hilarious. But it was definitely an experience, and it's the sort of thing where you will feel pretty good in some scenes. It is really fun to see Superman save a squirrel in the middle of a big fight in the city. It's just damn nice to see, some plans fail. It's great to see some villains get their shit kicked in, even if their plans were completely illogical and insane and dumb. It still is good because what they represent archetypally is far more important than what stupid shit the writer threw down because he didn't know what to do, but he also didn't want to directly adapt a comic book so people wouldn't know exactly what's coming. But then without that sort of strength of adapting a great story, he lost the ability to tell one. It was more of just an average flick. Pretty good. Might bring up some good times in the deep cracks of your hearts. If you still have a love from your childhood lingering for a hero like Superman, it can be a fun time. I've definitely seen worse films, far worse films. Looking at you, Bo's afraid. And it's also been a long time since I've thrown one of these together. But yeah, that was kind of my thoughts as I was sitting and watching Superman at the theater, just as, if not more, stoned than when I reported on these feelings to you. Lovely people. And it really just can't be overstated how important this is to Warner Brothers and DC as a film studio, because they really need this to be a big earnest happy hit and start building up a big wide audience of adoring and loyal fans, just like Marvel did. This really is their Marvel play. The biggest thing this film did was try to copy everything Marvel has ever put into a film in its essence and adapt it into DC language. It's the first time they've really directly just copied Marvel and dared them to one up them again. So, as the highest grossing superhero film of the year, 2025, so far, congratulations to Superman. And we will see if this universe, this new DCU, actually takes off, takes full shape, whether Millie Alcock Supergirl is going to be great next year. Who knows? But I'm more interested in the Batman 2.